in terms of what we were going to be doing in the next decade of our work. And my parents are Bill and Kathy McGee, and I just wanted to recognize them as we open up tonight, because sometimes even me and my 4 other siblings can't believe that we are here 40 years later. In fact, I have Laurie here staying with me from Panama, and she was asking me today, you know, did your parents ever think that this was going to turn into something big? And I said, no. In fact, they just went back to take care of the kids in the Philippines that they weren't able to take care of with another group that had asked them to come. And so when they returned to the Philippines in 1982 to take care of the children that they had left behind, there was a whole slew of other children that showed up. And so, you know, my parents always say that Operation Smile was born just based on emotion, and based on the fact that they knew that they could take care of this problem. A cleft lip takes about 45 minutes to repair, and a cleft palate takes about an hour and a half to repair. And so we do have the solution. I'm not sure what's happening. We do have the solution, and we have thousands of people all around the world now that help us get this work done. So yes, Operation Smile was founded in 1982. There's been a slew of just really kind of crazy things that happened over the years. My parents like to shake it up every now and then just to really get the world excited about what we're doing so that we can help even more children. In 2007, we did this amazing World Journey of Smiles, where we had 1,900 volunteers from 80 countries working at 40 sites over a couple weeks' time, and we were able to take care of over 4,000 patients. So, you know, that doesn't take, that takes a huge effort. And mom and dad are always very, very humble in that this is not about them. This is about the world coming together to take care of children. So I was fortunate to grow up around this. And, you know, I'm very thankful that I get to work with students now as we look to this next decade. So our global challenge, just so you know some of our stats, every 3 minutes a child is born with cleft condition. And that's a little bit overwhelming. You know, we don't realize that this condition exists in such quantity. You know, when we share with our kids every hour, 20 new children are born with cleft condition. That's pretty crazy. So the thing about this is that we don't have the means to prevent this from happening. And so on the hour, kids are born with this condition, which really creates a sense of urgency for us, especially because we've been on pause. And there is a backlog in some of our countries now with children waiting for us. We are very much aware that some of our children will die if we don't get to them quick enough. There's a lot of malnourishment that happens in a young baby if they can't eat properly. And the mother and father who, in many cases, are not educated enough to know how to feed these children, they get very desperate and don't have the means to do so. So we do lose some children. So there is a sense of urgency to get back to these countries as much as we can to take care of these kids. We have realized that there are over 5 million people living with unrepaired cleft condition, and many of them do not have access to surgical care. So that's where we come in, and we're really so grateful for the thousands of medical volunteers that we have all over the world now. I think after 40 years, the beautiful thing is that there is trust in these countries about Operation Smile coming, and they have very much have faith in what we do. So our impact over these 40 years, we've been able to take care of over 326,000, mostly children living with cleft. And again, that comes with lots of and thousands of credentialed medical and non-medical volunteers. And what's really, really cool is over the years, we have been able to open these year-round cleft centers, or care centers is what we call them, so that weekly our people in country, which we do have staffed, we have 600 employees worldwide, can take care of our kids. that are close enough to have access to the care centers. And in these care centers, we have care around dental, around speech, around nutrition, and also the psychosocial. So the way that we take care of this child is in a very, we just take care of the whole child. That's our goal. We don't just repair the lip. We make sure that this child, especially if we have access to them, if they're not too far away, that we're able to take care of them comprehensively. This is kind of a nice map for you guys to look at, just because, you know, we are in tons of program countries. So we have over 30 of these countries where we're active every single day. But we also have this wonderful network of partner countries. And these are countries that raise very, very significant funds for us. Canada and Sweden, we have Italy, we have Germany, obviously the United States. So if you are from the US and if your students get involved with us, yes, that is part of it. They educate, they help us bring awareness, but we can't take care of more children unless we have funds. So they are part of that fundraising component. But you can see how the world really helps us take care of these kids. And we also get very, very, the experts in the field from all of these partner countries too that go out with us on our surgical programs. Australia too, I see that down there. So when we launch into this next decade, we have presented ourselves with quite a challenge. And that is that we want to increase access to quality care for 1 million patients. And that doesn't mean just surgery. Just like I said, you know, we're going to be looking at the dental needs, the nutritional needs, the speech needs. For any of you who have been around a child that lives with cleft condition, it's really, really hard to understand them speak. And this can happen even when a cleft palate is repaired. There could be a very, very small fistula in the palate that releases air. And so the speech is really, really important for us to make sure the kids learn special ways to speak so that they can be understood. When we talk to the students about children being isolated, lots of times it's because others can't understand them. So, and what I'm finding, and our staff is finding, that lots of our students that get involved with us are starting to go down the lane of speech therapy and majoring in that in college and post-grad. We have a few signature initiatives, and we're really, really glad to be on this wheel. Over the COVID time, we were able to push out a bunch of women in med missions, which took place in Morocco, in Peru, Malawi, and the Philippines. And the reason this initiative was set forth is to really empower women in these countries where men really dominate in medicine. And so it's just kind of helping these women realize that they can be the means to an end to help these children. And so every time we go out on our surgical programs, we have people working alongside of our people in country to train and to educate, because our goal is to work ourselves out of a job. We would love for every child in the United States or in the world to have cleft repairs. So we're hoping that by empowering these women, we can get to that faster. We have Operation Smile Academy program, where we bring along these med students and residents into our fold so that they're just really more involved. They're out in our countries a lot more. They're helping us plan and strategize around how we're going to take care of more children. We are going further away from the cities where we usually operate and transcending borders. Right now, we have a very, very active and well-oiled kind of machine up near the border of Venezuela and Colombia, because Venezuela is still not situated where we safely could go in there and take care of their children. And so these children come over the border and we're able to take care of them in Colombia. So we're looking for other ways that we can create these situations in different countries so that all children have access to care. And then we talk about our youth empowerment program. I really feel like, having grown up with this organization, and we're looking now as my parents, you know, approach their 80s, This third generation is going to be super, super crucial to the success of our organization. And really, when we compare ourselves to other nonprofits, especially surgical program nonprofits, student programs is really the differentiator. It really sets us apart from other organizations because we invest so much in our students. We really, really want them to learn how to lead, to create these relationships with other students all around the world. We just, we want this network to start early for them. And, you know, if anything, we want them just to be good people and look for the means to help others in their community where they live. Of course, we want them to help us with Operation Smile, but we have found year after year for the kids that get involved with us and get to go out into our program countries, this is something that just becomes part of their core, and it never leaves them because, again, it's the emotion and the connection to others in this very, very just magical way. It really is. I've put 4 of my kids out through this program, and by far, it's the very best place you can put a young person because all of these people that show up to do the work with us, they're not getting paid. They're there for the sake of that child. And when your child is in this environment with all of these wonderful, wonderful people, they can't help but leave thinking about how can I do more? How can I give back? And so, yeah, we do kind of brag on ourselves a little bit because we do invest a lot of time in them. And I will tell you, it is just that we just find so much joy in watching them evolve in front of us. And we do have a few of these people here with us tonight just to speak and share quick stories. Yeah, so I can't read this completely because I'm a little bit blocked here, but it is the child with the cleft that led us back to the community. And so now we need to just do more and pay attention to the health systems that are there, because with love and leadership, we're going to be able to build those health systems now. And we're really, really counting on this next generation to help us with that. They are much smarter than us. They surely know how to work the IT a lot better than us. And they're going to be working for companies that are going to be doing really, really great things. So we're excited to have the student alumni now alongside of us, and lots of these kids that are just really anxious to get back out with us. And I think it's time for me to intro Christy, right? Craig. Oh, Craig. Craig's next. Craig. Sorry. There you go, Craig.
Thank you,
Thank
Bridget.
You,
yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Russell, and one of the best parts of my job as the International Program Manager for Student Programs is to enable some of our most deserving student volunteers the opportunity to participate in overseas surgical programs as part of a student team. Student teams generally consist of a couple of high school volunteers supported with a U-Voice student journalist going out under the supervision of an experienced chaperone or a staff member of student programs. When our student team gets out into one of our program countries, they support our program team, our medical and non-medical volunteers, in a variety of ways, from play therapy to patients awaiting their surgeries, to delivering education modules on topics such as nutrition, healthcare, burn care, oral health, and hands-only CPR. They also enable the growth of local student programs in the program country through collaboration and awareness raising, and of course are capable of filling in any of the small but multiple areas of need that emerge as a part of a surgical program. Our U-Voice trained student journalists have a slightly different task. They are responsible for collecting some human interest stories based around the patients on a program, the communities in which they come from, some of the medical and non-medical volunteers that give up their free time to come and make a difference in the world. And our U-Voice student journalists are trained and supported by a professional journalist throughout the processes of collecting, preparing, and and writing their stories. So our student programs training workshop and our U-Voice training workshop both take place twice a year. Once a year, it is in conjunction with our ISLC conference. In the few days immediately prior to the conference, the lucky few who are selected to participate in the training workshop will undergo 2 full days of training to prepare them for their role on the surgical programs. But it's only the most deserving of our student volunteers who have earned their opportunity through demonstrating a commitment to Operation Smile over a long period and completing work in support of our pillars of service, education, advocacy, and leadership, who get the opportunity to be trained and placed on a surgical program. And those successful applicants, they will lead to the 2 days of training on the workshop, during which they will discover the program country to which they will be sent as a student team in order to make an impactful difference on the lives of our patients, communities, and of course, a lasting impression on themselves. So I would like to take this opportunity now to pass back to Bridget so that she can indeed introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Craig. So I have the pleasure of introducing Christy Neuswender, who is by trade a nurse, but she came to us at a very young age, actually. She was born with cleft condition, and I think she can tell you a little bit about just her journey and finding us and finding all the purpose behind what she does with us. She's been out on 17 or 18 missions with us as a chaperone for our students. We, with every team that we send out, student team, we send a chaperone with them. And she is also a very, very dedicated volunteer for us out at our ISLC. We do bring 3 nurses with us to be with us during that time period to make sure our kids have the care they need if they were to get sick. Christy has been really steadfast in making sure that she saves that time every summer to be out with us. And I find that she's been such a connector for us, especially with the students that we get involved that are born with cleft condition. Just beautiful stories of how accepting she is and welcoming she is to them as they come to our program. So without further ado, Christy.
Thanks, Bridget. Sorry if you just saw me kind of freaking out and running around. My battery is just about to die and I couldn't record. Anyway, I'm Christy Neuswender from Salt Lake City, Utah. I have been involved with Operation Smile since 2004, I believe is my first ISLC. As Bridget mentioned, I was born with cleft lip and cleft palate, and that, as it does for most people born with cleft condition, came with a multitude of challenges throughout the first half of my life. And I don't have the time on this call to share my whole story, but basically, I just never wanted to deal with the social and psychological aspects of my condition. When I first heard about Operation Smile, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it, which was very weird for someone who was kind of raised to be service oriented throughout my life. Anyway, in my early 20s, Bridget said I came to Operation Smile very young. That was very sweet because I was not very young. Basically in my early 20s, I kind of had my aha moment and realized that my cleft was a blessing to me, and that I needed to share and find opportunities to share what I had to offer and things that I had learned from being raised. I mean, I guess I wasn't raised in a cleft community. There was no one I knew that was, I didn't know anyone. I was alone, essentially. Anyway, I just felt like I had a lot to offer, and I needed to know how to help people. So then Operation Smile came back around into my life, I was, like I said, I was early 20s, so I was out of school. I wasn't a student. I wasn't in the medical field, but I was lucky enough to find student programs and kind of found my niche there, and just was able to get involved with student programs in Salt Lake City, and then eventually became a chaperone for the missions. And I don't know how many missions I've chaperoned now, 17 or 18. Maybe, I think it was 18, but 18 may have been canceled by COVID. That's the number that kind of rings in my head. Anyway, I just loved these missions so much, and just loved the opportunity, loved the experience, loved being part of the student team and seeing how the students learned and grew from having this experience being out on these missions. But I just found that I was so happy in this atmosphere of serving these people and just loving the cleft community, and just seeing how the medical teams all came together from all over the world. And I just loved it so much that I decided to go into nursing a little backwards than most medical people. You know, they kind of start out in the medical field and then go on to do service missions. But I started my service missions and then loved it so much that that I decided to go into nursing. So basically, Operation Smile and my cleft condition is really why I am who I am today. Like, I don't even want to think about where I would be in my life if I had not been born with cleft condition, and B, if I didn't have Operation Smile help me find why I was born with that condition and what I had to offer through my experiences and my past. I was hoping to, go into nursing to afford me more opportunities to go on missions as a medical professional, but I just found that I just loved being part of the student experience so much that I just haven't wanted to give that up. And so I have not gone as a nurse. I have just continued to go as a student chaperone. It's just so amazing to be part of that experience for these students and to see how much they grow and change through the course of a week. I'll talk to parents before we leave on the mission, and I tell them, I'm like, your child is going to come back a whole different person in 10 days than who they're a different person than who you're sending out. So I think it's amazing to be part of that. It's amazing to be part of Operation Smile in general, and the whole picture, not just part of the missions, but to be involved with student programs and to meet people through ISLC, and then they come back the next year at ISLC, and then through meetings with service projects or Zoom calls or whatever, and just seeing them through the several years of being involved with Operation Smile, and just seeing them grow and turn into just really amazing people. Again, I'm so grateful. Like, Bridget knows that Operation Smile asks me to do any, they ask me to jump, and I say how high, like, I will drop everything for Operation Smile. It's just the most important thing for me. Again, I don't want to think of where I would be without having my cleft condition, and again, without Operation Smile helping me realize the importance of my cleft and what I have to offer because of that. And it's just an amazing organization. I can't say enough good about it. I can't give enough of my time to them. I just love everything about Operation Smile. And I will turn it back over to Bridget.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christy. And, Christy's really helped me also branch out and try to connect our kids with cleft conditions. So she's been instrumental in helping me form this Cleft Connect chat that we do now. It's about 1.5 years new, and she and I are working with a group of mentor students also born with cleft to just create that network too of kids in the cleft community around the world. So thank you, Christy, for everything you do for us. We're really looking forward to this summer and seeing you again. Thank you. Okay, and I have another special guest, Isabella, and she's coming to us from Panama. And please don't tell me my phone just died. It did. But your friend is saving me, Laura. Okay. So Isabella was part of the Quell team, which is our leadership team in Latin America. In 2021, she attended LEA, which is our Latino international conference. In 2022, as a TL, or a TI is what you call it? TL, which is a team leader, and LEA. In 2023 as an ATL, Isabel participated in multiple activities in Panama, such as patient evaluations, food delivery for patients, and fundraising events. In 2020, she was the most active virtual volunteers in Latin America Social. And the next month, she's getting ready to participate in the mission of 140 patients from David Cherokee in Panama. So welcome, Isabel.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Isabella, I'm 18 years old, and I have been engaged with Operation Smile since the end of 2019. And then, as Bridget said, during COVID, I engaged a lot with the virtual activities. I was like in my room, very bored, and Operation Smile was the only organization that offered these service activities, even when you're at home, like deliver a donut and make a friend smile today. And that was what made me fall in love with Operation Smile all along. And I remember perfectly that in the U-Lead, in the virtual U-Lead, Bill McGee said a phrase that stuck in my mind forever. And he said, like, love was to make someone else's problem your problem. And since then, I think that Operation Smile has changed my life completely. And during the LEAs and these international conferences, I've been able to learn about leadership, all Operation Smile's pillars, and that really grasp that Operation Smile is much more than just a surgery. Like, there are a lot of processes before surgery, patient recruitment, like doing the registries of every patient and playing with them, transmitting that piece that you have to them when they're stressed before being conducted to surgery, answer questions to their parents and keep them calm, because obviously you never know like their path towards ending in a hospital, like if it was a 18-hour walk or one-day train, bus, or anything. And so also I had the opportunity to be a speaker in a LEA conference, and that was what I was going to address in the chat. Someone, Oresta, said like to get more information about the Student Leadership Conference. And in these conferences, you get amazing speakers that really not only talk about Operation Smile testimonies, but they also give you different leadership or self-help speeches that really help you build like the best version of yourself. I remember I got a speech about an elevator talk that was very interesting. Like if you have a business and you want to introduce yourself, then this is the steps for you to start doing that. And also I think these conferences really open you to like get out of your comfort zone and meet new people. In the Quell team, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people from the region, and it's amazing how these people turn out to be my family. And I can say that I have a home in Paraguay, in Bolivia, in many places. And I think that that's also a reason I'll encourage you to go to the ISLC, because you meet people from around the globe that you'll learn about their cultures. You'll also learn how to work in teamwork, have patience. I don't know, I think Operation Smile really offers a lot of tools, like personal tools, and also regarding the organization itself, to embrace a change in your community and become a better person and leader for the future. And I think that's it.
Excellent job. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think, Isabella, you know, that whole point of you talking about how you have a friend everywhere. I think that's so true. You know, like the connection you guys make during the ISLC, it's a very different connection. It's emotional connection. It's a cultural connection with all these other people. And it's really one of the other beautiful things about being part of the program is that you do have a home everywhere. And we do hope that as you guys continue to network, that you take care of each other and the world. So thank you for being with us tonight from Panama.
Yes, thank you very much, Isabella. Very well said. I'd like to introduce our next speaker this evening, but first I just want to give a shout out to Operation Smile Canada, which has been an incredible supporter of Operation Smile for a very long time. As one of our largest donor countries, they have funded dozens of surgical programs every year. And nobody embodies the hard work and dedication that Operation Smile Canada shows than our next speaker, Quinn Henry, who hails from Toronto, Ontario, and is a dedicated volunteer who I'm happy to say I had the pleasure of working with at last year's ISLC in Miami and also in Asuncion, Paraguay in November last year. So over to you, Quinn.
So hi, as Craig said, my name is Quinn Henry. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I want to thank everyone for coming today and listening about Operation Smile and ISLC. Quick little background on me. I became involved with Operation Smile just over 2 years ago. During the pandemic, I didn't really have much to do. So my best friend and I started taking our old clothes and our friends and selling it, and quickly got really involved, started a club at our school the following September. And since then, have just been obsessed with Operation Smile, just as most of you guys are as well. So as we all know, Operation Smile is an amazing world-renowned organization, but also a fantastic community for students. I attended ISLC last year as a TL. That was my second ISLC. This is my third one and second as TL. My first one was online due to the pandemic, but after last year's at the University of Miami, I can say that it was the biggest eye-opener second biggest after Paraguay, but it was one of the best experiences ever. Everything that you learned about Operation Smile and about yourself, about leadership, compassion, empathy, you don't get anywhere else. And I am so excited for this year. And I hope that everyone that was on the call is there in Peru as well. But the best experience with Operation Smile, and I would say of my life, is going to Paraguay in November. I was able to be the only Canadian student there in Asuncion, Paraguay. So during the program, we screened over 200 patients who came from all over the country, as well as neighboring countries. And within just 5 days, we did 83 surgeries, beating the goal of 80 surgeries. And apart from changing 83 lives of the patients and the families, ranging from ages 6 months old to 40 years old, alongside the 3 other students, me and their lives have been changed forever. By meeting the patients, building connections with the families, meeting the local students, submerging yourself in the culture of the hosting country, it's honestly an experience that still I don't know how to explain because it was just so surreal and so amazing. By playing with the sweetest kids that I've ever met, and I don't even speak their language, seeing their faces light up as soon as they wake up in the post-op room and they're happier than ever, running around with them, laughing and smiling with them. You give them a balloon and they were entertained until their surgery, but also helping the medical volunteers with whatever they needed, meeting the locals, experiencing the culture of an entirely different hemisphere. The memories that I made and everything that I learned will stick with me for the rest of my life. But something that made this program very special to me was, I mean, everyone has a very unique experience on these programs, which I think is the beauty of it. But for me personally, what was really special was how this program in Paraguay was completely funded by Canadian donors. And being the only Canadian student there, alongside Mary, who's my chaperone, and a nurse from Toronto as well, seeing all the, like everything that was being played out before me, knowing that the hard work that my club and my best friend and I, my friends and family, I myself over the last 2 years had put into Operation Smile, was put into action right before my eyes, was really touching and allowed me to build deeper connections with the patients and the families and everything that was happening right before me. Building the connections with the patients and the families, and knowing that like my school fundraisers helped contribute to their smile, honestly still over 4 months later leaves me lost for words. As Chrissy was saying, it's remarkable how fast you and your life can drastically change in such a short amount of time. Being 17 years old and flying halfway across the world, the person who I was when I landed in Paraguay is night and day difference than the person I was as I was leaving. My leadership skills, my empathy, open-mindedness, love, world and culture understanding strengthened deeply in such a short amount of time. And this experience and everything that I gained from it continues to play out in my everyday life. I don't think that one day has gone by since November that I don't reference the program. And I know that like the love and the appreciation that we all have for Operation Smile is why we all volunteer and continue to do what we do at our schools or outside of our schools. The opportunity to attend ISLC and surgical programs is something not many students around the world have, even those who are involved in other like world-renowned organizations don't have these type of opportunities, which is really special. And we're really lucky to have that and be a part of Operation Smile with that. I know that I've gained so much, just as I've also been lucky enough to give so much to Operation Smile with ISLC, Paraguay. But I think, as Isabella was saying, the biggest takeaway is knowing that you have that family and a family all around the world, and knowing and meeting people that I hope to have in my life forever, from Paraguay to Italy to the United States to Canada. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Quinn. And for those of you who maybe wonder if there are surgical programs happening that student teams are a part of this year, well, I can quietly say that yes, tomorrow we have a student team going out to India. So we do have these opportunities coming up, and once a student is able to qualify through a program training workshop place in this summer, then we're going to be able to ramp up to really get things going on that front. So if you want more information on how to get involved, please check out our website, check out our student portal, iSmile, and you'll find some information on there as well.
Thank you, Craig. Our last speaker for tonight, our student speaker, is Skylar Griswold. Skylar, thanks for being with us tonight. I'm assuming you're out in California right now, yes? I met Skylar, gosh, it's been some time ago in Seattle, where you were a very, very young person. I think you were maybe 9, I don't know, maybe a little bit older, but you were sharing your word poetry with us as a just a wonderful theatrical performance that you did on stage for us. And Skylar got involved because her mom has been very involved with us for a very long time. And I believe the first experience you had out with us in a mission experience was in the Philippines, and you've also been to Peru. But over the years, we have been able to watch Skylar grow and blossom into this beautiful young woman who is all heart and soul around what she does. She started a nonprofit at a very young age, which she's probably going to talk a little bit about, called Future Generations Now. And we were just so proud of you recently as being awarded the Global Youth Humanitarian Award from the Hospitality Committee of the United Nations out there in California. So kudos to you for all the work that you do to just bring positivity to people around you. And we're very happy to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Bridget. Hi, everyone. So my name is Skylar. I'm extremely happy to be here. I really can't remember a time where Operation Smile wasn't part of my life, and it really has affected the person that I am today, in only the most positive of ways. So, like Bridget was saying, I got involved with Operation Smile when I was 9 years old, and it really started with my parents, who have always instilled how important it is for me to give back to my community, one that's given me so much. And so, I don't know if you all remember Rainbow Loom, but when I was in elementary school, it was something that a lot of students were really into. And I kind of made it my mission that I was going to raise $240 because I wanted to be responsible for one child's surgery. And so when I got to that goal, little me thought that was, the craziest thing I was ever going to achieve. I really thought that my life, that was the peak of it all. And I think I would have laughed if you told me where I'd be today. And so I was lucky enough to speak at one of the Operation Smile galas in Los Angeles. And I don't think I've ever felt more like myself than being able to be on that stage and talking about something, about this cause that I really, really care about. And so I kept working with Operation Smile, and I got to go on 2 mission trips, one to Cebu, Philippines, and one to Lima, Peru. And I've had some of the most memorable moments of my life on those trips. And I mean, I could sit here and talk about it forever, but I think one that really stuck out to me was on my first mission trip to Cebu, Philippines. I brought a Polaroid camera, and I brought a tiny little album, and it would fit maybe, I'd say, 60 photos. And I decided that I was going to fill this album, that I was going to take photos, of all the kids with their parents or parent, and write their name on the bottom. That way I would have this as a memory. And when I got back to California and I opened this album, there were maybe 2 photos. And it wasn't because I didn't take a ton. I took way over 60 photos. It's that every single person I took a photo of wanted to keep that. They wanted to keep that photo and save it because this was probably the best experience they were ever going to have. Some of these kids, it was their first time, some of the parents even, it's their very first time being in a hospital setting. And so a lot of them are scared, are nervous, some are excited. But there's definitely a lot of emotions going around. And so I remember one family specifically. I went over and asked, if I could take the photo. And I told them, it was just for me for personal purposes. It wasn't going anywhere. And they said it was fine. And so I take this photo, and, with the Polaroid, I'm sitting there shaking it. I've never seen people more anxious to see a picture of themselves. And when I showed it to this family of 3, it's just this little kid and his mom and dad, both the parents started immediately crying. And, it's not usually the best reaction that you'd think you'd get from a photo. And the mother turned to me and said it was the first family photo they'd ever taken. And this kid was probably 5 years old. And when I think back to my childhood, my parents take pride in all the photos they have of me and my siblings. I have a younger sister and an older brother. And, most families do. They have them on the walls or on their computers, their lock screens. And so to hear that was heartbreaking, to hear that there were students, or there were these little kids who weren't able to have that experience of being proud of what they look like and what their life was, because they felt it was something that they had to hide, because they had faced so much discrimination in their everyday lives that just seemed like something they would never have, that possibility of normalcy. And so I thought that I was going into Operation Smile, that I was going to be able to do so much for these kids. And while I really do think that I've made such a great impact on these people's lives, I think that they made a much bigger impact on mine. Everyone's already said it. You come back a completely different person. And it's not just because of this experience that you've had, but it's this experience that you've been able to share with all the incredible volunteers. Because Operation Smile, the community really is full of such incredible people, and they're all there because they want to make a difference. There's no ulterior motive and there's no other reason. They're all there because they want to be able to contribute to seeing this little kid smile. And I'm just so extremely lucky and fortunate that I've had the honor to be a part of it for hopefully the rest of my life. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Skylar, all the way out in California. Thanks for being with us. Okay, I think this is the time we're going to show a video for you all from the founders. Kathy and Bill McGee try to make it to every single ISLC. And this is where we just want to share with you how important this summer is to us, and hoping that some of you will join us.
The opportunity we have to expose young people to the reality of the world, phenomenal. So why not do it?
Well, for Operation Smile, students are just so important. People ask us all the time, why students? Why would you put students on a medical mission? And actually, we've been doing it for 30 years with the International Student Program, Leadership Program. We bring people together. It can be from 20 countries, it can be from 10, but it unites cultures, even within our own students.
I think the joy in life is how you can relate to other people. And a lot of those people can help you, and you can help a lot of those people. And if you don't get selfish about it, then you're both really helping one another.
I think the students, when they come to the conference, they realize that they're involved with changing a child's life somewhere in the world. They are our future. There's no doubt about it. We've seen it time and time again. We create different scenarios, thinking scenarios for them. We have speakers that are world-known, entrepreneur speakers that give them ideas how to budget, how to save, how to invest. So it's serious conversations that go on as speakers, but then we have to come together for fun. Kids love to have fun, and if we did it, I think it wouldn't be as enticing for them.
And none of us can create the product of Operation Smile by ourselves. So you want to join together with people that are caring, loving, and talented in one way or another, that can share what you do and bring your talent to it.
We have only missed one in 30 years. So that says enough about two adults who are leading an organization like Operation Smile to take the week off and spend it with the students. Be creative, break all the rules, and make a change. We're excited about the future. 40 years, they'll go another 40 years with them. And 30 years with the conference, I hope we will always have a conference going forward.
The opportunity we have.
Thank you, Anchi, for playing that video. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us for the last 40 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this short. So the Operation Smile Student Conference is coming up in Lima, Peru in July 17th through the 23rd. And thank you so much for our students who spoke for us today. I was lucky enough to be Skylar's chaperone at the last conference, and she was my TL, and she was incredible. And meeting her just gives me so much joy. Wanchi, you can change to the next slide. Perfect. So this year we're getting together in Lima, Peru, and a lot of you parents and students might have questions about what we're going to be doing for the whole week. So for the whole week we have plans, and this is what we've been doing for the last 30 years. And COVID has given us a little glitch, but we're back with this conference, and we're excited to go back internationally. With our students, we have speakers, we have all the things that are fun for our students. We'll have a team day. We do lots of different activities that really engage the students and get them to be lifelong friends over the whole week. I was lucky enough to go last year and have friends from all over the world. So that's really amazing. And I love keeping in touch with every single one, because you know you have a friend in every part of the world whenever you get there. So next slide, Wanchi. I know a lot of you have questions about also the safety that we're going to, the safety situation in Peru. We have a team in Peru that is watching over all the political unrest, and we've been doing this for 30 years, and we've been to all these different countries with lots of different students, and we always keep an eye on the political situation in every country before we go there. making sure that our students are safe, and we pick them up from the airport and we are going to take them to a hotel, which is going to be closed off just to Operation Smile students for the whole week. You could go to the next slide. Here's some more information about the conference. And if you guys are all on iSmile, if you're not, we can get you a login and password to get on iSmile. If you don't have that, you can always reach out to me or your local associate. Next slide. So this is the hotel we're going to be staying in Peru. It's about an hour from Lima Airport, and we will take our students from the airport to this hotel. It's only closed off to our conference. So the whole week we have the hotel just for our conference. And we'll do the next slide. So this slide really explains to you where the political unrest is. So the red dots are where, you know, it's not as safe for students, but we're going to go where this little green dot is, which is Lima, and then we're going to take our students to the hotel. Machu Picchu is also open, and the travel restrictions to Peru have also opened. So Peru is very safe to travel, especially if you are just going to Lima, and then we're going to be taking them to this location that we have planned for them. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to take them now. You can also type them in the chat if that's a little bit easier for you guys. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you for putting the iSmile information on the chat. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to either raise your hand on the chat, or you can just type it in the chat.
And I think one more thing too, just to make mention of, is ISLC is a requirement for students to go out with us on our surgical program. So if your child is, you know, rising 10th, rising junior, even rising senior, and hasn't been with us at an ISLC, this is going to be a requirement if they want to be competitive to go out on a surgical program. So I always say to parents, you know, the younger you can get them to us, you know, that's where they can really kind of get more involved in the leadership platform that we provide. You know, all of our student speakers tonight have been leaders in their clubs, they're regional leaders in their regions, and then they become the leaders for us at our conferences. So it's almost like, you know, they drink the Kool-Aid and then they can't go back, which happens to all of us that get involved with Operation Smile. So the younger the better, but it's also never too late, because we do have a university program. So even if they're getting involved later in their high school career, we do have that bridge to university, and we are doing some really incredible programming and dreaming around really big things for our university kids as well. Talking about mini gap programs, internships, where we can do more immersion into these countries as they get older.
So we have a question on the chat. Are the students just staying at the hotel, or are they taking excursions? So Machu Picchu is quite far away from where we're going to be. So we are going to be at the hotel all week. We hope to plan a service project right very close to the hotel. So we might be taking our students out to do this service project, which is going to be local, but most of the time they're going to be in the hotel. Sure. And then a lot of parents have reached out to us in terms of flights. So we are trying to figure out what students from different clusters are going into different airports. So we're trying to get a chaperone with them, or somebody that has that is a little bit older than them to travel with them, so they feel like they are with somebody that they know, or somebody from Operation Smile. So when they're traveling, we don't want them to be at the airport by themselves. Any other questions? Oh, here we go. So the registration fee is the one fee that the student has to pay, and also the airfare, yes. Thanks, Paula. And then I think a lot of you have put in the $250 deposit, which is great. And then the final payment for that is due on May 15th. And then with the airfare, if you look on iSmile, we're going to post some airfare. First, we're going to post some flights that are going to be good for our students to take, because we do want them to get there Monday morning between 5 and 3 p.m. So we can all take them together to the hotel. So it would, I think, from at least my region, which is the Northeast, we can try to look at some flights on Sunday night. And I know from different parts of the country, all the flights are going in from different times. So if there's any questions you have about flights before booking them, feel free to reach out to your associate. Lyndon, you have your hand up. I hope I'm saying that right. Lyndon Corpry. Can you just unmute? No, I can't hear you that good. You can just type your question in the chat. That would be great. Anyone else have a question? Craig, can we answer that one? Do we have a new deadline for applications?
Currently, the applications for ISLC have been extended, so we don't have a hard deadline to provide you with. For the program training workshop, we currently have, and for the UVoice training, we do have a deadline of April, the weekend of April 7th through 10th. But for the ISLC registrations themselves, they are currently open for new applications. We will be putting a hard deadline on that in due course, but at the moment, we just encourage you to get those applications in as soon as possible.
Monty, you're muted.
Paula, the original deadline was February 6th, I believe, and I'm not sure if I understand Landon's question. Can you clarify that question, Landon?
I think for anyone that is concerned about their plane tickets, once you submit your registration payment, you'll be added to our iSmile group, and we have different forms on that you can coordinate with other people that might be in your area to schedule your flights with, so that you could have a buddy as you fly. I'm not sure if that was the question. That was what my information.
Thanks, Melissa. Thank you so much. I will be happy to put my email in the chat, and Melissa, Craig, if you guys can do the same, and that way you can always reach out to us if you have any questions, and we are happy to get back to you on email. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bridget, do you have any last words?
No, thanks you guys so much for coming on. Again, we would love to see some of you there if you're still thinking about it. We are really excited to be in Peru. It's our first time over in Latin America for this conference. So it's just, the Hispanic culture is just so warm and inviting and fun. They dance all the time, so your child might come back dancing all the time. We just never know. But yes, we're really excited to be back over there with the kids. They give us so much energy as part of the staff that leads them. And we're really looking forward to the next academic year as they get back from that. Truly inspired and activated around outreach.